Hey, Chad, how we doing? How we all doing? I was going to play a song there, but it looks like it's all fucked up. I don't think it was going through. The little bar, that's in the green and then yellow and red, it's just perpetually frozen on. Oh my god, OBS is fucking up here. And in all fairness, I'm retarded. I don't know how to do it. So, whatever. I was going to play Blue, the song, it's a guy that lives in a blue world. I don't know if any of that took. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But fuck it. Fuck it, we'll do it live. So how we all doing, folks? How we all doing tonight? Y'all basking in the red wave? Y'all enjoying your red wave? you fucking, your red spritz? Somebody says he lives. I don't really stream much anymore. Honestly, this new laptop, I could probably do streams a lot more. It's just, for one thing, working way too much fucking overtime. Just virtually medically dangerous amounts of fucking overtime. It's honestly it's shaving years off my life at this point. The box factory is slowly killing me. And then, need to get writing done, which I haven't in several months gotten really anything done because of all the overtime. I should be doing that right now. And there's also another project I've been working on. I can't really get into it on air, but another iron in the fire that might come about to be something. So I've been busy with shit. But there was a little bit of an election, guys. Do we want to talk about that? A little bit of an election. I don't know if you noticed. Good God. So, where do we even begin with this shit? Where do we even begin? Okay, so, first off, and obviously I am a libertarian at heart. I'm not a registered libertarian. I didn't vote libertarian this cycle around. I am a libertarian at heart. So I just want to say to all you right-wingers, all you Republicans, all you conservatives that are blaming the libertarians for your losses, on behalf of libertarians everywhere, suck my dick. It's the libertarians' fault that John Fetterman won in PA, because he won by such a narrow margin. If all the libertarians, all the people who voted libertarian would have voted Republican, big if there, then, oh wow, Fetterman would have lost. Well, no, because first of all, if all the libertarians had voted Republican, they would have just come up with magically 50,000 fucking votes in Philadelphia, with domino pizza boxes taped to the windows. Let's be fucking real. Secondly, Dr. Oz ran against a brain-dead retard. So the fact that it was even that close, shame on him. The whole Dr. Oz campaign was a fucking vanity project Trump forced on us. Yeah, I'm gonna endorse this fucking snake oil assessment. It's gonna be cool. And they pushed him through the primary, and it was a weak fucking candidacy. Dr. Oz he looks like you should be casting him as Norman Osborn in the next fucking Spider-Man movie. So, yeah, should he have lost against Fetterman? No, but it's a testament to how weak of a candidate he is that he lost to a literally brain-dead retard. A fucking hunchback-looking motherfucker. The Caligula's horse of modern American politics, I've heard it say, with John Fetterman. So no, on behalf of libertarians everywhere, suck my dick. Suck my dick. If that's what you have left, oh my God, the libertarians, fuck you. You don't, if you're honestly going on about that right now, you don't deserve to win another election ever for the rest of time. Period. So let's get that out of the way, okay? All right, so we're all clear there? All right, good. Now, again, I made myself little fucking notes here because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay? I saw a tweet or a comment or something somewhere. Oh, I know where I saw it. It was under Razor Fist video. We'll get into our old friend of the show, Razor Fist, a little bit, but it was under Razor Fist on Monday, put up a big red wave video that's now unlisted. You can still watch it if you have the link, but it's now unlisted because it didn't age well. But one of the comments under it today was, did these idiots think that all the voter machine issues just magically fix themselves? And you know, Razor Fist's been papering over this for about a year now, plus. Oh, it's okay. The Republicans are doing things to combat election fraud. And no, they're not. No, they weren't. Okay. No, they weren't. All right. There was massive election fraud in 2020. There wasn't as much this time, in my humble opinion, but there was still a lot of it. I don't believe the Fetterman-Oz thing was as close as it was. As bad of a candidate as Oz was, he probably won. But he won by such a slim margin that they were able to steal it, which, again, shame on Oz. But Razor Fist, the thing that, we'll get into it, but there's a thing that drives me nuts with old Razor Felt It over here. Actually, we'll get into it now. So, a lot of people in the Republican Party, and for very good reason, and I think last night fucking showed why, have been saying, look, enough with Trump. Trump kind of fucking sucks, okay? Like, it was fun in 2016. We all had a fucking blast. But then we got him in there, and he did fuck all, and it sucked. And then he got chased out on... fuck Trump, all right? But there's just some fanboys, there's some fucking MAGA fanboys that won't let it go with him. And Razor Fist is leading the charge in that. In fact, he'll viciously go after you if you dare to suggest maybe Trump isn't where it's at. He'll be like, you're a rhino, and you're what is it, Uni Party, and all this other stuff. Well, Trump pushed a bunch of candidates through in the primary. Shitty fucking candidates. As far as I know, with the exception of Kerry Lake, they all fucking floundered. All of them. Either barely won or they lost. Meanwhile, Ron DeSantis, who Razor Fist assures me is not that popular. He's no Trump. Ron DeSantis won re-election last night by like 20 fucking points. He carried Miami-Dade County. He carried the most liberal fucking county in the goddamn state. A county that's like 80% Hispanics and 17% Jew and 3% old gay guys who own bars. That's Miami-Dade County, and he carried it. And you know why Ron DeSantis carried it? Because Ron DeSantis gets shit done. Okay? But no, Razor Fist wants to... I don't know why. It's weird, because Razor Fist wasn't even a Trump guy initially. He was a Ted Cruz cuck back in the 2016 primary. But he just won't... He just will not unhinge his jaw from Donald Trump's ballsack. And it's really weird. And a bunch of guys are like this right now. Why? Somebody says DeSantis won by 0.8% in 2018. Well, he didn't win by that now, did he? DeSantis is incredibly popular. Because guess what? It's not 2018 anymore. And while the whole rest of the country, the whole rest of the world lost its goddamn mind and decided to turn into a fucking third world police state over a goddamn cold, Florida didn't do that. Florida's the last place. Florida's the last piece of America genuinely fucking left. So yeah, stock in Orange Man is down. Stock in Florida Man is up. That's the cold reality. And last night, unless you are an absolute shill or an absolute fanboy, you got to be Brendan Dilley levels of fucking MAGA shill to not see what the fuck last night just said. Orange Man stock is down. I'm sorry to tell you. Okay? Now, all that said, I hope Trump doesn't run in 2024. Fuck it. I hope he drops fucking dead. I'm not even kidding. I just, go away, Orange Man. Enough is enough. You fucked up. Okay, what are you doing now? You're like making a gay, like, alternative to Twitter that's even more of a cesspool and ghetto than Gab? What are you doing now? You know, go away. But he's not going to. Okay, he's going to run in 2024. I don't necessarily think DeSantis will, and I kind of hope he doesn't. If Trump insists on running, which he will. Because it'll absolutely just rip the Republican Party apart. It'll be just a vicious civil war. And then when Trump loses, which I think he would, he'll take his ball and go home. He'll do third-party shit. He'll try and spoil the ticket. Because that's the kind of little fucking man that he is. So enough. So Trump's going to win in 2024. I hope DeSantis sits it out. Whether or not Trump wins in 2024, I don't know. I said he was. Did I say he was going to win? He's going to run. Whether he wins, I don't know. I don't really care. I don't even think I'm going to vote for him in 2024. General election. I might vote Libertarian. Fuck you. So I don't give a shit if he wins. And then 2028 will come around and it'll be Florida Man. And he'll be fucking better than Trump ever was. But like so many people on the right, it's just the natural tendency of the right. They want to have them, they want daddy to tell them what to do. You know, they want to coalesce behind a daddy. And Trump's their daddy right now. And you can't talk bad about their daddy. You have to be just deep in the fanboy shit to not see that the Trump. It's funny, DeSantis isn't even saying shit about Trump. I love what I heard somebody say today. I think it was the ROTC guys, where it's like, you know, Trump is beneath him. But, you know, Trump is taking all these pot shots at DeSantis. And you know why? Because he's fucking jealous. Because he knows DeSantis is actually doing the things Trump talked about doing. Another thing I wanted to talk about, and this was a major factor, mark my words. Biden pushed all that student loan forgiveness shit. Now, just to be clear, I don't necessarily think student loan forgiveness is the way to go. But all the Republicans that want to act like, you took out a loan, just pay it back. Like, it's just that fucking simple. That's some gay, dumb boomer shit, all right? The reality is, oh, hey, Nano, how's it going? Good to see you in the chat there. The reality is, a bunch of the millennial generation, some Gen X and into the Zoomers, got sold a bill of goods. They got tricked into just starting their adult life with shocking levels of debt that they were never going to have a real chance of paying back. Now, what I happen to think, now that's a real problem. And you're a fool if you ignore it. What I think should have been done, what was the appropriate thing to have done, in my opinion, is to retroactively make these student loans absolvable through bankruptcy. Go back retroactive a good 20 years, if not 30. And that gives the people who are just truly desperate an out. Because we shouldn't have loans that aren't absolvable through bankruptcy. That never should have been a thing that existed. But the reality is that, yeah, a bunch of votes were bought there. But, you know, all the Republicans love to have really, really principled stances against that sort of reckless spending and handouts when it suits them. They're not against giving away billions of dollars to fucking Israel. Most of them are not against corporate welfare. Most of them are not against giving away stupid amounts of money to the fucking Ukraine. But heaven forbid we bail out a generation that got hoodwinked. And again, I don't have student loan debt. This isn't personal on me. I don't directly benefit from it. I I was a visionless, ambitionless, less, that's not even a word, I don't think, piece of shit out of high school who wanted to do nothing but fuck his ginger alcoholic girlfriend and read Spider-Man comics. And it turns out you don't need a college degree to do either one of those things. I don't even think you need a high school degree to do either one of those things. So me being a directionless piece of shit saved me from the same fate that much of my generation undertook. But yeah, Republicans dropped the ball on that issue because, again, there's reasonable alternatives to fix the problem. I just came up with one. Well, I shouldn't say I just came up with it. I've been saying it for a while. But I came up with one, and I'm hardly a genius. There's ways to address what is a real issue without just student loan forgiveness. Because, again, that lets the banks off the hook, too. And fuck the banks. But, yeah, Republicans whine, that really hurt us. So, of course it did. And you let it. You fucking let it. Again, all these Republicans going on about like, oh, it's going to be a red wave. And then if you dare to say, again, let's pick on Razor Fist some because we've been doing it. If you dare to say to them, oh, well, they stole the last election. What's to stop them from stealing this one? Oh, you're a black pill. You're black pilled. Oh, stop bedwetting. Be black pilled. We're trying to do something. Are you? Because Razor, it seems like all you're trying to do is audition to be the edgy guy on a Fox News panel show. All right? To be the one biker-looking dude they let on fucking Gutfeld. That's what you looks like you're doing right now. Like, this doesn't... I don't know. I mean, I don't know why anybody thinks that still doing the Brendan Dilley grift with the fucking, the MAGA stroke spoons and the Confefe coffee. I don't know why anybody thinks that's a fucking workable grift right now. I realize conservatives by their nature are a little slow to change. But maybe we can get past sucking Orange Man's dick. All right? Look, I loved Orange Man once upon a time. 2016 was fucking great. All right? It was awesome. That was a goddamn blast. And I was on that train. Like, you could go back and dig up, like, early, assuming I haven't deleted them. I don't even fucking know. Or unlisted them or what. But you could go find, like, old fucking pre-recorded podcasts where, there was just a buzzing noise in the background because my audio was that shit. And it's like 2015, or I'm like, oh, Trump just made an announcement speech. I tell you, I really think he might have trouble in the primary, what with all the cucks, but he really could just get through that, and he'd kill it in the general election. But you know what? I'm gonna give y'all a fucking white pill, and I had to say this to my dad today, because he's just my poor boomer dad. The adventures of the man who just started paying attention. In the last few years, and I a couple boomer relatives of mine are even older, are just now noticing how fucked everything is, and boy, it must be hard. Granted, you should have seen it like 20 fucking years ago. You should have seen when the goddamn Patriot Act was passed, but fine. I guess just now, the adventures of the man who just now started paying attention. Fine. But, my dad just fucking whining about it. And I just kind of said to him, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. What would have happened if we'd have gotten a whole big old red wave like we were promised? You know what would have happened? Because most of them aren't DeSantis. Most of them aren't really getting shit done, okay? You know what would have happened? We would have, stopped the bleeding a little bit. We would have gotten lower taxes, and that's good. I'm not diminishing that. Lower taxes is always fucking good. But, that's it. we would have had a little bit of a better economy for the next couple of years. And that's important. Again, I don't want to diminish that, but like, that's it. It would still be a, uni party of fucking devil worshipping pedophiles running the fucking show. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Like, you want to worry about shit? Worry about your own fucking life. And again, I'm saying this to myself as much as anybody else, but like, first of all, if you want to be involved in politics, get involved in your local Republican Party. Get involved in your fucking school board, shit like that. But like, fucking work out, read, enjoy your life. Things ain't that bad, all right? You got a little perspective, all right? Like, yeah, I understand we're not in the best fucking position. But things ain't that fucking bad, all right? I got news for you. As bad as things are, about 99% of your ancestors would have sucked a dick to trade places with you. You understand that? And if you don't believe me, just close your eyes and imagine your local fucking grocery store. Things ain't that fucking bad. They're really not. But like, stop. Don't live your life by the fucking politics. It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. Yeah, you could kind of fuck yourself trying to play. Like, what is it? Somebody, like, it was mostly just a test run. I wanted to see how many fucking tabs and shit I could do at once on this computer trying to stream. But I just decided to play a bunch of music, do another DJ Retzloff. I deleted it because it's too much of a hassle to leave up with copyright issues. But I went ahead and, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Somebody just messaged me there. It's this white pill. I like that. Yeah, you got to have a little bit of a white pill, man. You really do. But like I said, you can tie yourself in knots over this shit. So when I was doing the music stream, it just came back to me what I was going to say. I was like, if anybody wants to suggest a song, go ahead, donate. And somebody in the chat was whining about how he couldn't use Streamlabs because he deleted PayPal. I'm like, why the fuck did you delete PayPal? And I kind of was asking buddies, and I somebody told me about the fucking scandal. There was a thing where PayPal had a terms of service update where they said they could fine you $2,500 if you did wrong speak, but then they quickly walked that back. And so a bunch of people deleted PayPal as a response, right? Oh, well, that'll show them, right, guys? No. You know what you did if you deleted PayPal as a response? You fucked yourself, okay? Because all you did was you made it exponentially fucking harder to shop online. I hope you don't shop online a lot, because all you did was fuck yourself. You can't use Streamlabs. You can't send to a streamer. You can't buy shit on Etsy or Amazon or eBay. I guess Amazon you can use your card, but point is, if you do any sort of buying things online, you butt fucked yourself getting rid of PayPal. And for what? For what? Oh, well, I had to get rid of PayPal because they could do that thing. They could just take $2,500 from me for saying the N-word. I got news for you, buddy. They can all do that. You got Cash App? You got Venmo? You got any of those fucking things? Do you have a bank account? Because all of them could just decide to do that at any point. Thank you, Patriot Act. I'm sorry, what party gave us that again? Oh, those evil Democrats, right? They can all do that at any point, and you were right to bitch about it, pitch a fit. But I mean, what did you do? You know what I mean? Oh, I fucking took a stand. Did you? Or did you inconvenience yourself for fucking nothing? Are you concerned about the idea that banks and payment processors can do that kind of thing to you? Because you should be. I don't know. Maybe you just fucking make a point of leaning on Republicans. Why the fuck is the Patriot Act still in existence? Why the fuck can they do this? You know, it used to be that only the government could do that, which was fucked up also. And you go back 25, 30 years. The government could just seize your fucking bank account over shit like drug suspicion and shit like that. If they think you're a drug dealer, they could seize your bank account, just freeze it and take all the money, and basically you never get it back at any time. That's been a thing the government can do since before most of you were born, since before I was fucking born. That's a result of the drug war. Once again, who the fuck pushed that on us? Fucking conservatives. Thank you very much. Good old social conservatives once again fucking us. Once again, forging the weapons that the left would eventually put at our throats. Thanks, social conservatives. But it used to be that only the government could do that. And then the Patriot Act come along, and we're like, well, guess what? Now banks and payment processors can do that shit to you if they think you're an extremist, because we'll only do that against the Muslims. Don't worry, guys. I'm surprised it took this long for that to get out of control. But this is how conservatives, this is how people in the right, there's a reason you call a far left guy a radical and a far right guy a reactionary, because all they do is fucking react. I just now noticed it, so I'll have a knee-jerk reaction and think I did something about it. Oh, now I can't buy shit online. Hey, what are you doing over there? You. Get over here. You're gonna lay down. You're not gonna sneak over there. I saw what you were doing. I keep a couple of biscuits over on the nightstand by the chair there, and he decided he was going to get up on the chair and ever so slowly, when I wasn't looking, sneak his way over to the biscuit pile. He's many things, but he's not stupid. So he says the Patriot Act desperately needs to go away. Of course, but it's, you know. But it ain't gonna. It ain't fucking gonna. Okay? That's what the right loves to do. They love to forge weapons that eventually the left will use against us. You know, bitching, oh, how dare you vote libertarian? You know what I'm starting to think? Go back to vote libertarian. Go back to vote third party. Fuck the Republicans. How about if the Republicans want me to vote for them, they can go back to fucking earning it. I'm tired of voting for a Republican because you wave in my face that the Democrats worse. I voted for Mehmet Oz yesterday, and you know what? If I could go back, I would vote libertarian. Fuck it. Why was I voting for Mehmet Oz? Because Fetterman was worse? Fuck it. Fetterman's at least entertaining. He's a fucking Lenny from Mice and Men retard. That shit's fucking hilarious. Did you hear him give a speech on abortion the other day? I celebrate the demise of Roe v. Wade. Nigga out here talking like Bizarro Superman. That shit's funny. So yeah, vote Bizarro Superman over Green Goblin. Why the fuck not? L-O fucking L. So you know what? I'm going back to where I was 15 years ago. 10 years ago even. Where it's like, you know what, Republicans? You want me to vote for you? Give me a fucking reason. Other than Democrat man bad. Because I'm not falling for it anymore. I'm not buying that shit anymore. I'm done with that. You gotta vote for the fucking. The fuck did I vote for Mehmet Oz for? I'm ashamed of that looking back. I should have voted Libertarian. Doug Mastriano was a damn good candidate. I'll give him that. Of course, the GOP defunded his fucking campaign. I never saw a Doug Mastriano ad. Never saw a single fucking one. And I asked a couple of people. I asked people that have cable still. They have actual TV, not a Roku. They didn't see any. Doug Mastriano was a pretty damn good candidate. GOP defunded his fucking campaign. And you know what I heard today on the radio? Yeah, I'm zipping around today. I'm off for a few days right now. Thank Christ, by the way. Holy shit, I don't know if I could face another week right now. That aside. I'm driving around and I say, you know what? Let's fire up the AM. I want to hear. I want to drink the sweet tears of neocon sorrow right now. So let's fire up the AM. Now, it used to be between noon to 3 on almost all AM stations. You had Rush Limbaugh. Obviously, Rush is no longer with us. Well, Rush Limbaugh's show, and this is the official fucking heirs to Rush Limbaugh. They are part of the EIB network, his production company. This is the new Rush Limbaugh show. It's something called the Clay and Buck Show. I don't know much about Clay Travis, but I do know something about Buck Sexton. Buck Sexton is a neocon Dan Crenshaw style piece of garbage. Ex-CIA motherfucker. So I'm listening to these two jack-offs, and they're talking about the PA thing. And they talk about that Doug Mastriano was actually a terrible candidate. It clearly wasn't because the GOP would not fund his fucking campaign. It was because he was a terrible candidate. And he should have, the guy in the primary, that Doug Mastriano smeared, was a good man. And I don't remember much about the guy in the primary. But all Buck could say about him was he was a war hero. You know what, at this point, you being a veteran is damn near a downside for me. Whatever. Because, you know, it means you're a military-industrial complex fucking shill at this point. Because the only kind of veterans I want to see run are the kind of guys that are never going to run. I want an ex, Army sergeant who says fuck all the time. Like some gunnery sergeant. That's who I want to run. Not some piece of shit fucking officer. Some fucking Pentagon slime. Nano in the chat talking about the Civil War, calling it the War of Northern Aggression. Well, I always call it the War of Southern Inferiority. So he says DeSantis is a veteran. I said it's a downside, but I don't like the ones that wave it around. Like, that's all the fuck they talk about. The Dan Crenshaws. Vote for me because I'm a veteran. Doesn't do shit for me. Guess what? I didn't know DeSantis was a veteran. Because he doesn't swing it around all the time. You should all, by the way, check out Razor Fist's fucking Red Wave video. It's quite funny in hindsight. I don't know what happened to him. He got worse. Let's see. Is Pastor Tom coming on? Pastor Tom said he was a... So he says Nano says I keep pronouncing DeSantis wrong. I'm gonna DeSantis nuts across your face. I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce it then. Don't know what to tell you. But I'm gonna say DeSantis. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to call him Florida Man. That's his name, Florida Man. He's just Florida Man, all right? He's gonna ride into the Oval Office coked on meth. He's methed out of his mind riding an alligator. That's what I want to see. All right, we're gonna bring Pastor Tom in. He's gonna talk about the red wave with us. Hopefully this works. Let me make sure the audio. Let me make sure my settings are fine before I call. Since Skype just loves to reset my settings to nonsense. Let's see. The camera's working on this computer. How about that? Microphone, USB. Okay, that should work. Yeah, DeSantis' name is pronounced 2024 GOP nominee. DeSantis used dark magic and he funneled the entire red wave into his state. She says, look, I don't dislike Razor. Like, I really don't. You know, I once heard it described Razor Fist as hard to like and harder to hate. Like, I really don't, but it's like, there's just some fucking really bad takes from him. That little bit of humility is all I'm saying there. All right, I'm going to call Pastor Tom here. Uh-oh. Okay, hang on a second. Can everybody hear Pastor Tom? Pastor Tom, go ahead. Say something.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay. Can y'all hear him in the chat? Let me know if you can hear him in the chat, because speakers on OBS look like they're acting up, so...
If I sound a little bit scratchy, it's because I got a little bit of a cold, so...
He's got the COVID. He's only got a 99.9% chance of survival, chat. Prayers for Pastor Tom.
Thank you very much.
People say they can't hear him. They cannot hear you. God damn it. All right, hang on a second. Let me call you back in 1 second. I'm going to try and mess with something on the speakers here.
All
right. See, OBS... All right, yeah, a little distance because it's not coming through on the speakers. Let me try something, Chad. Let me try something. We're going to try something live. Hopefully it doesn't fuck everything up. Let's see. Hang on, chat. I know it sounded distant because you were hearing him. You were hearing it. He's playing fine on my speakers, but OBS decided it's not gonna fucking register my speakers. So the mic was literally picking up the speakers. So let's see. Okay. I'm gonna try it again. Oh, that's breaking up.
Hello?
Okay, now they should be able to hear you.
Excellent.
Yeah,
how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. A little fired up, but I'm doing all right.
That's good.
I'd be doing better if I lived in Florida, though.
Well, I hear you. Could be worse. Yeah, you've got Fetterman now. Golly.
It's funny, though. I mean, in all fairness. Like, it's
you guys funny. Also managed to elect a dead guy.
Yes, we did. To the state house. We elected a fucking dead guy. It's amazing.
That's impressive. I knew that dead people voted. I didn't know they could hold office now.
Well, do you remember the old Family Guy bit? This was back in the W years, where like Stewie and Brian were in the army somehow, and they wanted to get out, so they decided like we're gonna make out with each other because they kick gay guys out. And the sergeant
I'm not making out with you.
And the sergeant looks. Well, let's not rule anything out. The night's young. But the sergeant looks at him and goes, "That's not going to work, man. We're pretty desperate. We got 2 dead guys guarding the armory." So like that line is immediately what like yeah we elected a retard a dead guy.
It's too bad that the left can't meme, because if they could be, I mean, really, how much material could they get from the fact that Republicans couldn't beat a dead guy?
Or a literal brain dead hunchback.
I mean, geez, Louise, that's embarrassing.
I celebrate the demise of Roe v. Wade. Wait, what now? Hello, good night, everybody. You just got here. You just.
Oh man. Well, sorry I'm on so late. Some of us have church on Wednesday nights. Golly, what a
Wednesday, my dudes.
I guess it could have been worse. So I mean, but it's not great.
Look, the Republicans gained seats. I'm pretty sure they gained the House. I think they gained a couple of governorships. It wasn't a bad night per se for them. It just, should have been a lot better.
So let me ask you something. Where do you think that they're failing on messaging towards the youth?
Well, look, again, I cut into the whole student loan forgiveness thing. And again, I don't think student loan forgiveness was the way to go, but I think it was a real problem that needed addressed. And the Republicans refused to even act like it was a real problem. Ha ha, suck it up. Like, sure, everyone in your life convinced you to do this when you were 18, and now your life is ruined, but too bad, suck a dick. Turns out that actually doesn't work that well with a lot of people.
So they should have told him to chop it off instead.
Well, maybe. Maybe that would have worked better. I don't know. But it just didn't go. Like, you had no plan for it. This is where the Republicans lose to a lot of these Bernie and AOC types a lot, because it's like, these are people that are bringing up real concerns. And while their ideas to fix them are usually retarded and make things worse, they're real concerns. So this kind of conservative idea of let's not, let's act like it's not a real concern, it doesn't work. Conservatives used to be about, against things like too much usury and for the working class and for, good high wages. And it doesn't feel like that's a thing they care about. Now, that whether deserved or not, it doesn't feel like it. And I think that's a thing that they fail on. If you act like the banks aren't out of fucking control, the financial institutions aren't out of fucking control, you kind of concede the floor to Bernie and AOC types on certain issues.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's kind of what I've been seeing. And it just, I mean, this is a criticism that you can kind of throw at the left on the whole, but not like the AOC and the Bernie people. But it seems like, being just against the other side really just doesn't seem to be working. And I don't know if it ever really works. Like in 2016, that's not how it was. Like, I think what gained a lot of the momentum was the fact that, Trump had an actual push. Like, I mean, now it kind of fizzled out, right? But, what he was selling people on was America first. Like, we're going to put the needs of the nation first. It was a legitimate direction. It was something that people could get behind. It's like, here is the country had been on this trajectory with Obama and whatnot. This is a change of course. And we can clearly tell the difference. It's not just Obama sucks, so vote for me. It's here's where I want to take us. And that's something that, again, was very different. I guess just Republicans, Trump kind of failed on that in 2020 by and large. I think trying to bank on just, all of the stuff there. I think, once again, Republicans were banking on people just being mad at Democrats. And so they were going to punish them. And that really just doesn't seem to be how people operate.
Well, also, if you were on the right, odds are you were upset with, say, the lockdowns or the vaccine.
Have you heard of Jesus?
Or say, Fauci. You didn't like him. But where did that shit come from? Who was in charge when that was happening?
Oh, that was Trump.
So yeah, real quick. Diddy Kong Racing Fan 97, thank you very much, sends $10, thank you. and says, thanks for the sober takes, Beckloff. You should stream more. Been listening to you for a long time. We love DeSantis in Florida and the only state in the union who can count votes, apparently. Yeah, remember when we could just count votes on election night, like 99.9% of the time?
Oh, man.
But again, that's another thing. Why didn't Republicans I know there was a little bit of it, Q razor fist with, they passed a law in one section of Indiana to deal with it. That's cool. I know some people were addressing it, but like, by and large, the Republicans wanted to act like 2020 wasn't just blatantly and cartoonishly stolen. And like pizza boxes on windows weren't going to be an issue again. And guess what? Pizza boxes on windows were an issue again. I don't actually believe that Fetterman beat Oz. I think that Oz beat Fetterman by a very narrow margin, and they were able to steal it. That's just you know what? I don't even have a ton of evidence for it. That's just my default position because that's what the fuck they do.
Well, I mean, to me, it's not necessarily evidence, but one of the biggest things that points in it is just how far off the polling is. The fact that the polling was so off in 2020 and then once again it's off in 2022, that should let you, I mean, again, it's, given some of the other stuff that we're seeing, some of the statistic stuff that you see, like what happened with what's his face, Fetterman, it just it's very weird. I don't want to like get your channel ruined or whatever, but it's really odd. And like I said, how can the polling be off so much? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you know what? I don't care about this channel that much, so I'll just say it. Joe Biden was not elected in 2020. I don't necessarily think that Fetterman was elected this time. That's a hill I'll die on. Fine. The hell with it. It didn't happen. Joe Biden didn't get 80 million votes. Didn't fucking happen. I'll take things that didn't happen for 500, Alex.
No, even with that, I mean, like I said, I agree. I think that's, you have to address that somehow. And of course, again, what ultimately would you say is the way to address that?
I don't know, man. Where you are in power, you gotta deal with. Look, here's the thing. Republicans are bad at using power. There's certain things they can get fired up about. Social conservatives can get fired up about abortion and butt sex and damn near nothing else. Regular conservatives can get fired up about bombing brown people. But beyond that, there doesn't seem to be a lot they can really get up from their nap from. I always think of Jeff Sessions. Couldn't be bothered to look into Hillary Clinton, but, when a 9-year-old cancer patient was doing marijuana, while old man Sessions got up from his nap. So conservatives are generally really bad at doing shit that matters. And look at Ron DeSantis. Like, okay, here's a perfect example. All that don't say gay bill shit, right? So there was some guy in some office, an attorney general in a county or city or something. I don't fucking know. A comptroller. Who the fuck knows? There was some guy in office below DeSantis who was some DA or something's like, I'm not going to enforce this law. And DeSantis was like, cool. I just changed the locks on your office. Your stuff is on the curb. There you go. So like Trump's a perfect example. When he was in office, everybody that serves at the pleasure of the president in the federal government should have been gone on day one. So like, what do you do to address these things? I don't know, man, but maybe the handful of you that do have some power, maybe you do something. Every Republican governor right now needs to fix their election fraud. Just full stop. That needs, and DeSantis has basically already done it. Florida is fine. But every other one of you, fix it. And I don't know exactly what you do, okay? It's not my job I'm just a humble box factory worker. I'll tell you how to make a box, all right? But you know what? If I did have that job, maybe I'd look into what you gotta do. I don't know. Maybe do something.
So did you make the pizza boxes that they used to cover up the windows?
I might have.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And like I said, I think they also just need to do something more, like I said, with messaging. It really just seems like, again, as I've said, as I just said on here, and as I've said before, as I've been saying since 2020, not having a clear direction. What is the direction that Republicans are going in? And again, you can point that at the left too. I don't really think they have a clear direction either. I think that they're just sort of anti-Trump, which is kind of why you're just kind of at this gridlock right now, which is really what it feels like, to where neither side really goes either way, because you just a lot of people are just kind of pissed off at each other. And so it's just, which devil do you want? But I mean, again, where do you actually want the country to go? I mean, it sounds stupid, right? But where do you want the country to be in 4 years after your term? What's your vision? Where do you want to see us? Do you want to see us have more manufacturing here? Do you want to see us to have, more oil refinery going on? Like, I mean, at least, again, as stupid as it is, at least Biden's, saying some things. He has some kind of goal, even if they're stupid. People can at least point out and say this is something that he wants to accomplish. Now, like I said, it's dumb and it's stupid, but really, what can you say that for the Republicans? What is ultimately their platform? And again, find something and stick with it, but they're too scared to actually do something, pick a platform and stick with it. Like if they're going to be like the neo-traditionalists, where we want women back in the kitchen and everything, then do that. I mean, again, if you think that's going to win, go ahead and do that. But they don't do that. They don't want to promote that. They don't want to try to, create laws that would, more influence women to get out of the workforce and get back in the home, or that would get men more involved in the workforce. So they don't want to address the disparity of men in college because, again, they don't want to be committed to a particular stance. They got no principles.
No, and it's been the GOP for a long time. They have no idea what they want to do. As I said, there's a few things that the different factions of the Republican Party can get fired up, and they're usually stuff that, in the grand scheme of things, shouldn't be at the top of your list. If they should be.
I mean, they're always fired up about something that, like, not doing it. Like, again, it's like, again, they get fired up about butt sex. Okay, look, you don't like gay people getting married. Why don't you actually do something that shows that you give a crap about what marriage is? Deal with some of the laws in regards to marriage.
Yeah, I said this back when they were legalizing gay marriage. I'm like, look, if you actually care about marriage, why don't you go reform the family court?
Yeah.
Like, look, if you had freedom of association, which, by the way, Republicans is an argument you lost in the 60s, but if you had freedom of association, then gay marriage wouldn't be an issue because you wouldn't have to, bake their dildo cake. And, they're not that high a percentage of the population to begin with, regardless of what Netflix wants you to believe. So, maybe there does come a point too, and I said this earlier, kind of passing out the white pill, where there's also like, you got to work, politics starts at home kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of people that really, really care about the family and the traditional family, and they don't have a family, or their family is in shambles.
Oh yeah, no, I've done twice as much for the white race than Richard Spencer has, and the fact that I have 2 white children. But he wants to go on and on about the white races and everything. How many kids does he have?
You're more trad than Nick Fuentes. Think about this, Pastime. Sticks, Hex, and Hammers 666 is more trad than Nick Fuentes.
Yeah. I at least can,
he's got a
get
garden
a woman pregnant.
And a family, and his two kids and a cat, and his wife who stays at home, and he pays the bills for him, and they homestead. Like, meanwhile, Nick Fuentes is a little bug man that lives off McDonald's and butt sex and goes on about trad stuff.
Yeah, no, it makes for a great grift, and I mean, it does. But right, it's the same things. Go out and have a family. If that's what you want. But like I said, if Republicans, and that's from like the cultural perspective, right? But like I said, from the political aspect, Republicans, it's like, you want to encourage people to do that, then have platforms that promote that.
Yeah, if you really care about the family, you need to reform the family court. I would go so far as to say, these sound harsh, but guess what? You want to deal with like out of wedlock children and marriage strengthening and all that? Do away with alimony altogether. Yeah. Do away with child support in all cases except divorce. And guess what? Yeah. I bet those problems sort themselves out in a generation.
Well, I mean, alimony is outdated at this point. There's really no point in it.
I mean, think of the mere concept of alimony. Okay, so I'm used to a certain lifestyle from my husband, so he has to keep. Well, then, okay, maybe he's used to you sucking his dick, and you have to keep doing that. Maybe you just stay married and work it out then.
All right,
like I mean, married anymore. That I can't tell my boss I don't want to work anymore, but I'm used to getting a paycheck.
Yeah, no, I mean, alimony made sense back when women weren't really working, and again, if it's like, okay, all the time that could have been devoted to a career was devoted to the family, but now all of a sudden, well, no, now you're not going to have that anymore. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. That's not how it is anymore. That's not how it is for the majority of the women. So it doesn't make sense. I didn't know Spencer had kids. Well, I mean, I guess that's, I don't know if I want to say that's good for him, but I sit corrected.
Are we sure Spencer has kids, or does the mailman have kids? Maybe Spencer has kids with all those times he fucked Faith Goldie. But no, and those sound harsh, but it's like, okay, fine. Those are some things that I guarantee you would fix it. And if, some social conservative wants to whine that sounds harsh, well, then you give me a better idea.
Yeah, you know what else sounds harsh? The fact that, no gas cars by a certain time period. That also sounds harsh. And yet they're the other side pushes that. They don't give a crap. You don't get a job if you don't get vaccinated, yet they push that. So I'm tired of this, that sounds harsh. We can't do it.
Now they want amnesty. Let's all forget about all that stuff we said during the pandemic. Let's not. Let's never.
No, especially from all them evangelical leaders.
No, jeez. I'm not going to forget. I'm not going to forget that you tried to do.
Absolutely not.
It just reminds me of Jack Nicholson's Joker when he just puts on the glasses real quick. You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? It's so desperate.
If only we had the power to actually do something about it.
Yeah.
And the spine.
Amnesty? No, there should be military tribunals.
Well, and again, right? See, Republicans could have done that. They could have been, again, at least that's, Ron Paul had that, he's like, look, you re-elect me, I'm going to be investigating Fauci.
Yeah.
Pick something and go for it.
By the way,
okay, great. You don't want the woke stuff in the school. I don't want the woke stuff in the school. So what do we want in the flipping schools, though?
Undertow wants to come in. Undertow, of all frickin' people, wants to come in. Let's see if we can get Undertow in.
What spell did we cast to summon him?
I don't know. Well, I was making fun of the South earlier. Maybe that did it. Let's see. Can let me see about adding somebody.
What's the deal with the Razor Fist? I keep seeing Razor Fist pop up in the chat. Not the person, they keep mentioning him in the chat. What's going on with Razor Fist?
I was kind of crapping on Razor Fist earlier because he had a big video yesterday about it could be a big red wave that he's now put on private. And he's very against the idea of maybe Trump isn't the way to go. Maybe somebody like DeSantis, and he's like, "Oh, you're a neocon, you're an omni." I don't know, man. He's very much sucking Trump's dick, and I just don't understand why. Damn it! What? Hang on a second.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm.
Okay. Hang on. I've got you.
His red wave's still up on BitChute, but.
Well, it's still on
that's
YouTube.
The same thing as being privated.
It's still on YouTube, but it's unlisted. If you have a direct link, you can go to it, but you can't find it right on his page.
Yeah, he predicted wrong. Who didn't?
Well, okay, yeah, fine. I thought it was going to go better than it did. All right, bring Undertow in. All right, Undertow, we're calling you. Undertow unavailable. Undertow unavailable. That's on you, bud. What are you doing? I'm trying him again. You said you wanted in, bud.
Now you're in.
Now it says Undertow unavailable. You're not picking up, buddy. Oh man, dropping the ball.
No, it's now you're here.
What's the chat? Somebody says, "Hey, Beckloff, are you trad?" I am most definitely not trad. No.
You're not trad. I thought you were.
No, I'm not trad. Yeah. It's gonna be when I get married. It's gonna be a traditional 1950s household, except I'm gonna be the housewife.
You're gonna be wearing the apron.
What are you doing, Undertow? What are you doing? You said you wanted in. You said you wanted in. I am calling you over and over again. You said you wanted it. Undertow, what are you doing, bud? What are you doing? Are you not Undertow? Wait. Okay. I know you're still listening.
This would be the best troll ever. He's like, I want it. He doesn't think
What's
put it
it?
unavailable.
Okay. He's messaging me on Discord. That's why. Skype. I'm on Skype. That's why. Oh, he says he doesn't have Skype installed. Look, I'm sorry. Everybody wants to say, like, oh, why don't you use Discord? Look, I use Skype for personal reasons, okay? I'm not going to talk to my boomer aunt on Discord, all right? I'm sorry. Like, guess what, internet people? Normal people still use Skype or Zoom. Discord is for furries and pedophiles. Does Beckloff go to Renaissance fairs and quote Orthodox literature? I do neither one of those things. In fact, I don't think I've ever been to a Renaissance fair, to be honest with you.
I went one time as part of a school trip. We had to go. It's kind of weird.
We were going on a school trip one time, and I think I just skipped school that day. And I skipped school a lot. I really don't know why they let me graduate, to be honest. I don't believe I went the minimum amount. Pretty sure I missed half my senior year.
Shame. That's why you're in the box factory. If you'd gone to school, you had a better job.
I could
Could have been something, man.
Probably not.
No, it's So what have you seen being the major cope from the right now?
One of the big ones is, those pesky libertarians ruined it for us.
Yeah.
That's a big one they're doing with the Fetterman thing. Oh, the libertarian guy got 1%, and Oz needed that 1%. It's like, well, then he should have earned that 1%.
Yep.
I'm sorry, don't conservatives believe in owning or in earning things? But the other one is, I don't know. I don't know what a lot of them are saying. I know some, I'm sorry, like Trump picked a bunch of bad candidates in the primaries and he pushed them on everybody. Like, who the hell wanted Dr. Oz? Who was like, yes, Dr. Oz, this sounds great. I want Oprah's creepy friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's conservative by the standards of people that hang out with Oprah. Yeah. It's like being the furthest left-wing evangelical. like okay, yeah, you're still right of center, okay? So calm down.
Yeah. Well, were you surprised by Carrie Lake? Kind of her performance?
I hadn't paid a ton of attention to that, but it did kind of seem like she was going to win.
I mean, she might still could. I don't know if it's been called yet, but she was making a comeback last I saw.
Yeah, and I think the Herschel Walker thing went to a runoff too.
Yeah, it did. Oh man, which that was kind of surprising. I mean, because from what I don't know a lot of people, but people down in Georgia that I knew, none of them liked Warnock. Of course, they're all pastors, so they don't really like how he, represents them, both as a leader and as a pastor.
You talk about bad messaging. So, Fetterman had a tremendously terrible track record on crime. He was responsible for letting out literal murderers and stuff, like one of whom murdered again. And what did I hear the Republicans focusing on? One of the Fetterman's...
His stroke.
Well, no, there was that, which is funny. I mean, but one of the things Fetterman was big on, I want to end the drugs, right? I want to end the drug war, which is a good thing, by the way, Republicans. I'm sorry to tell you. But they were like, see, he wants to legalize marijuana. How about you focus on the fact that he let out murderers? Like, yeah, Fetterman was actually, that whole letting out, like, violent criminals, Fetterman was trying to make that seem like he was just letting out people for drug offenses. Like, no, I just let out that guy for his cocaine offense. Well, yeah, he also killed and raped people and then did it again. You know what I mean? Like, you could take the cocaine thing off his fucking time served if you want, I guess. But he should probably still be in there for the other stuff. But because Republicans are so fucking caught up in the drug war stupid shit, they let that be the issue with him. I kept having to correct people like, no, he let out murderers, not people on drugs. They might have also been on drugs, but that's not the important part. And again, all I heard Republicans wanting to focus on is his drug war stuff. And I'm like, I don't think that really, especially with swing voters, people that are moderate, maybe that pesky 1% of libertarians, I don't think you're really convincing them when you say John Fetterman doesn't want a cop to stick a gun in your face because you got high. Well, I kind of agree with him on that one.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And yeah, they
I think focusing on the stroke thing too was a mistake. I mean, because and not because of whatever. It just looks like every time he is able to speak, it was a similar thing with Biden. Every time he's able to speak and he doesn't just, absolutely make a fool of himself, you kind of end up looking like a jerk because you're like, well, look, he's incapable of doing it. It's like, well, no, you're wrong. He can do it. And I mean, like it or not, people that is going to cause him to be more sympathetic. It's going to endear him more to candidates when you're talking a whole lot about the stroke. There was a whole lot of other, from what I've seen, policy issues that you could have focused on with Fetterman. Besides the whole stroke thing, and you could have hung Biden around Fetterman's neck, again, Biden was the one that went down there campaigning for him. Biden lied to y'all. He straight up lied to y'all during your campaign. The Republicans should have hung Biden around Fetterman's neck and had him drag him down.
I mean, again, the weed legalization thing was a thing they really harped on, like they thought that was a winning issue. I don't think it is. Again, I think a lot of very socially conservative people are upset about that issue, but there are already people that aren't going to vote Democrat to begin with. So I don't know what you're really gaining there. But yeah, this man let out violent criminals who then committed more violent crimes. That's a fact. That's a thing you should have harped on. Crimes that actually have victims.
Yep. Well, I think that was one thing that helped Ted Budd in North Carolina, because that was what a lot of the ads were in regards to Cheryl Beasley. She supported a lot of that same stuff. And so I think that was one of the things that really helped out him.
I mean, it is the old saying that Republicans are good at snatching, defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah. Although Democrats are oddly good at it too. These past 2 years, it's been really weird how everything's just gone. And it's been it's been a long 2 years.
And, I had a lot of people saying how can anyone vote for Fetterman? Because he's just obviously, retarded. I mean, he's mentally disabled now. The stroke Hannah hazed this guy up. And I'm like, well, you got to remember, there's a lot of people that, they're just going to vote for their side. You know what I mean? Step back and be objective for a second. How's anyone voting for Dr. Oz? I mean,
Well,
because you don't like the other guy. Because he's your team. Because red team good, blue team bad. Like, and I understand sometimes you got to hold your nose and vote for the lesser, and I get that. But there's just a lot of people that, like, they're just going to vote for their team. They're just going to vote for their side. Like, it doesn't matter.
If you don't give them a decent alternative, I mean, again, I agree with you, because just because they're mad at Dems, if Republicans are not giving them a clear alternative, then yeah, they are. Most of them will just stick with your side. Some are going to stick with their side no matter what. But I do think that you could have a lot of people switch sides again if there was a clear alternative.
Oh yeah, there's definitely people that'll swing back and forth.
I don't
but
think this is letting me hear you guys yet.
We can hear you.
Hey.
Oh, he's muted. But yeah, there's I would say there's at least 25% of the electorate on any given side, on one side or another, that are they're just pulling the R or the D levers respectively. So when people are like, how could someone vote for Fetterman? Because he has a D next to their name, and they have a D next to their name. That's how it works for a lot of people. Like, yeah, he's retarded,
well, even if they don't like Fetterman,
well,
we can't let the Republicans retake the Senate, so I've got to vote for Fetterman.
I got to vote,
even though I hate.
I got to vote for the brain. Because, I mean, think about it. I'm guilty of that. Why did I vote for Dr. Oz yesterday? I wanted the Republicans to take the Senate. Do I like Dr. Oz? Do I think Dr. Oz should be in a position of power? No.
Yep.
I guess I like him more than John Fetterman in the way I'd rather catch herpes than AIDS. But no.
I mean, granted, it's weird to think that anybody would want the Democrats to be in power, given what they've been doing with their power recently. But.
Well, yeah, Tom, but we can't have the Handmaid's Tale again. I mean, come on.
No, well, see, okay, and that's another thing that Republicans need to stop doing. Like, it was funny in 2016. It's not 2016 anymore. Just because people, this is something that Lyle Convoy says, which I like it. Just because somebody puts the clown shoes at your feet doesn't mean that you have to put them on. And I see a lot of Christians falling into this. I see the Republicans, well, if that makes me racist, then I guess I'm racist. Dude, why are you letting them do that? Why are you saying that you're a racist? You know that they're going to hang you on that. Oh, well, maybe we should have the handmaid. So, like, again, I get it, right? I get the attitude. Well, they're just going to say it anyway. Yeah, but it doesn't help if you identify with that, if you put the shoes on.
Well, there's different roles for different, like, look, if you're running a stream, if you're the ROTC guys, or you're doing what I'm doing, or you're, doing some show like that, your Razor Fist, your Sticks, whatever. Part of your stick, you're in the infotainment end of things. You're not running. Then okay, fine. You can play up the memes. You can joke about, I always make the joke with abortion. Oh, I love killing babies, but I hate women having rights because it pisses everybody off and it's funny, right? Like, but it's a joke. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be on the campaign trail and say, boy, I tell you, I just torn on abortion, guys. I love killing babies, but I hate women having rights. I kind of feel like my poll numbers in tank, regardless of how obvious a joke that is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like I said. I mean, it's a little bit unrelated, but that, like, with the whole Christian nationalist thing, that's the Christians who are going for that, they're falling into the same trap. And it's stupid. I mean, you're literally letting them, you're adopting the title nationalism as part of whatever your movement is, and you don't think that they're automatically not going to tie that to the Nationalist Socialist Party?
Christian Nazis. Fucking beast. I don't think that's going to get you far, though.
No, I mean, really. And I mean, the thing is they're not even real nationalists. I mean, it's so stupid. Well, I like my country and I'm Christian, so yeah, I'm a Christian nationalist. It's like, geez, thought you people cared about definitions.
Well, they don't. Like,
okay, there we go.
Hey, Undertow.
Hey, okay.
Speaking of definitions, I got to get this off my mind because I've actually had to listen to a lot of Charlie Kirk on the way home from work recently because it's just on the radio when I'm coming home. And he loves to say, because he loves to talk about liberty all the time, which like most conservatives he doesn't believe in. And he likes to say, well, liberty doesn't just mean you could live your life however you want as long as you're not hurting anybody. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's what it means. He goes, no, liberty means the right to pursue what is good and true and beautiful. I'm like, oh, so it means I could do what Charlie Kirk approves of. I don't think that's liberty, bud. But it's a word that he likes to use. And it sounds good. So I'm just going to change the definition of it. Because then I can use it for my end. So yeah, there's a lot of people that don't know what a nationalist is. I'm a Christian nationalist. That sounds really cool. I guess. Undertow, you still there?
Yeah, I was just waiting for you to finish, trying to be a polite guest and all that. Because I'm going to start with a question.
What's your question?
Are you talking to your grandma right now?
Am I talking to my grandma right now? Well, no.
Well, then why are you using this janky piece of software that doesn't work?
You know
and
why?
I had to try 3 different times.
You know why? Just to piss you off.
I know, and I love
literally, I fired up. You know when I was putting new programs on this laptop, I said, fuck, this will piss Undertow off. Download Skype.
No, but for real, people use Discord just because it works better than this. And I hadn't installed this since reinstalling Windows because I have not needed to use it for anything. So anyway, hello. One more thing that I've got to get off my chest. It's DeSantis, not DeSantis.
It's Florida.
And sure, I either works. The thing is, I know I have an analogy that's gonna really make this stick in your head now, because every time you say that, I hear the people from Marvel calling him Namor instead of Namor. Because you're doing exactly the same thing and making it way more Hispanic than it needs to be. Because that's also not how it would be pronounced in Spanish.
That's how he carried Miami-Dade County, because all the Cubans heard me pronouncing his name wrong, and they're like, "Oh, I like him now."
It's DeSantis, like diabetes.
Yeah, they heard you pronouncing his name wrong, and they're like, "That's Portuguese."
He's gonna get the Andy Worski vote then.
Yeah. Well, but for real, to chime in on what you've been talking about tonight, this is so funny because my dad has been saying, that we're gonna clean him out in this election. I was like, yeah, maybe. I wouldn't count on it though. And I keep and he today he was just talking to me about like, can you believe that in Georgia, Stacey Abrams has won that election for Atlanta? And I'm like, no, really? The woman who protected the whole state from the fraud allegations suddenly won? Huh. And it just keeps happening over and over again.
I've
it's
been
like,
saying that for a year. All these guys like red wave, and I'm like, what about pizza boxes on Windows?
Right. It's like they all just are, forgot that happened. They stole the election from us in 2020. That means we'll have to vote them out.
But this time they won't.
And I'm like, do you hear yourselves?
And look, the only way you can overcome that kind of thing, unless you fortify elections, unless you deal with the laws when you're in power, the only way you can overcome that thing is by winning by so much that they can't steal it. Which, if you're running, Oprah's best friend who looks like he should be playing Norman Osborn, you're probably not going to do.
Yeah. I mean, Trump's presidency was nothing but him getting really bad advice from his advisors. Why do you think his advice has gotten better now?
I'm so sick of these guys though. Like every time you bring this up, they're like, "Oh, you're just being black-pilled," or you're or if you're like, "Hey, I kind of like DeSantis more than Trump." Oh, you're just
he did it.
You're jumping ship, and it's like, shut
now
up.
that I've said something about it, he's doing it on purpose.
No, it's a habit.
This is
now I can't.
This is true friendship, is what this is.
But no, I'm so sick of that. Oh, you're black-pilled. It's like, no, it's like the Russian mob guy in Dark Knight. You have to deal with real problem.
There's a difference between pessimism and giving up. there's also a difference between, basic pattern recognition and pessimism.
When I was having a feud with a certain bald bisexual Canadian, and I was making fun of him for doing retarded things, I used to get people once in a while being like, "Oh, you're just black-pilled. Yeah, I guess him actually trying to do stuff is dumb." And I'm like, doing dumb stuff is dumb?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes doing nothing is better than just doing dumb things.
Mm-hmm. But then again, doing dumb things can sometimes lead you to accidentally doing something helpful. So it's kind of a here or there kind of question.
But no,
as we were just talking about,
You don't have to. I mean, again, you don't have to attack somebody because they're trying to do something and it's not dumb. But you can point out the fact that it's you are doing something dumb. You're not dumb because you're trying. It's just that what you're trying is dumb.
Mm-hmm. And then again, as another bunch of bisexual Canadians once said, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Wow. Yes, that was a very oblique Rush joke. Yes, I'm sorry.
Are just all Canadians bisexual? What's going on?
No, but they're musicians, so it's an easy thing to make fun of.
Just all of Canada.
For real though, what I got looking at the commentary about like you said, the only thing they were doing with that one guy is saying, "Oh, he had a stroke," and it's like they didn't learn anything from Trump's run except be mean. That's it. That's all they learned. And they're like, "Why isn't it working? It worked for him." It's like, no, he was liked in spite of that in a lot of ways, because like you said, he actually had a goal, a plan. Societies fall apart when they no longer have a goal to work together towards. We saw it with the Civil War. We no longer had this whole thing of building up a new country. We had gone coast to coast, and now it was like, well, what do we do now? And then we split up. We weren't all the way. I'm not up on my history. I haven't paid much attention or been looking into that era too much, but still, the point is we kind of lost sight of what we were doing and what we were going for. And of course, until the 90s, we had the communists, and then before that, we had the World War II era stuff. Although that was a flash in the pan, because everybody forgets that the Great Depression and all that like everything after the World Wars and before the next big war, be it the Cold War or the other World War, we were just as divided then.
Yep.
This is not a problem with America as much as it is a problem with countries. And it only gets worse the bigger you get. And we're so much bigger than 90% of the nations that have ever existed. And everybody just takes that for granted. And I keep saying that the reason we're in the predicament we're in a lot of ways, I mean, and again, like you like to emphasize, things are still pretty good. I can say that, especially being in Florida, because it's really not that much has changed here over the years, other than like, I don't know, a couple roads getting paved in my area. Like, that's about the most exciting thing that's happened. But in a good way, Anyway, the only reason we're in the position that we're in is because we've abandoned the entire framework that the country was set up with. And no, I'm not talking about the Constitution, or not, at least not entirely. I'm talking about the idea of federalism in general, the idea of each state being its own jurisdiction and getting to set its own rules. That was the point. But I hold that people wanting to win elections just kick their responsibilities up the ladder. Because it's like, oh, well, then I can just blame the people above me. And over time, that has become why the federal government just continues to consolidate power. Because people don't want to, actually have to do the job that they were elected for.
We still have, we have,
that is.
We have.
Well, I'd say that's true, not on my culture level, but sorry.
We have just enough federalism left, so that when somebody in the federal government doesn't feel like doing something for you, he could pretend like he can't.
Yep.
And the perfect example is Trump during all these lockdowns. Oh, I'm sorry, your governor's fucking you in the ass. I wish I could help, but it's a state thing, Just like, oh,
they're
thanks,
private
Trump.
company, bro.
Like,
Yeah.
No,
but
I
if
think
you
what you
wanted
said
to
there
help,
too.
somehow I feel like you would.
I think what you said there too about wanting to pass responsibility because they don't actually want to do it. That's not only true on a political level, that's true on a cultural level too, which has impacted
Very much
the
so.
political level. People are and to me,
It's
I'm not
actually
I blame TV in many ways for this because I think people are, you live vicariously through the television or through the movies, and so that's influenced people to pass on responsibility rather than doing. You want somebody else to do it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll go ahead and say that games can do that as well, especially video games. But the difference there is you are responsible for doing something in those mediums, even if you are just kind of there to experience a linear story that's almost like a movie. You still have to do something, and it kind of keeps your brain in that space of being an active participant in the things around you.
Back in 1980. The religious right, which is basically had just formed, mostly as a result of the whole Roe v. Wade thing, as a real political mover, was a major factor in getting Reagan elected. Far from the only one, but possibly the single biggest one in a group of several. And they got Reagan elected, and for a couple of years there, they sort of sat on their ass thinking that Daddy President's going to give us all the stuff we want. And that didn't happen. And before Reagan's first term was done, they had realized, okay, well, that's not going to happen. We need to do other stuff. And for a while, throughout the 80s and 90s and into the Bush years, into the W years, the religious right was a major political force, and especially in certain areas in the local and state governments. There were school boards in this country that were owned by those people. And yeah, their political power evaporated when the neocons did because they were so heavily wed to them.
Yeah, just as soon as they ruined Dungeons and Dragons. Thanks.
But the point is, though, for the better part of 3 decades, while they weren't the biggest power broker in the country by any stretch, they were a major force. Guys like James Dobson were virtually kingmakers in Republican primaries. Like, that was, if you wanted to be the Republican presidential nominee, you had to deal with that man one way or another.
Yeah, or he would draw you in a terrible webcomic with his blue bear avatar.
But the point is, they realized, okay, top down doesn't work, and they adjusted their strategy. And then you look at the alt-right in the broadest sense of the term, just dissident right. They got Daddy Trump elected. And then they were having goon rallies and fucking their mother-in-laws and then doing anything else. And turned out that didn't work out well.
And here's the thing that gets me so well, it used to get me angry, but I've been seeing a psychologist, and I guess I wouldn't say that anymore. Here's what gets me amused at this point. The right wing is sitting on a magic bullet. If they truly wanted a platform for America to have and to strive for, to set a goal for our nation to be proud of, nuclear power. It's right there. You allay concerns about the environment because it is the only, it is the cleanest form of energy we have. You get to tap into American excellence because it's high tech. All those elements that were being used in those reactors were discovered or first fused together over at Berkeley here in the States. You solve the energy crisis, and you get to throw it in the other guys' faces that look, we did what you were talking about, but better.
Yes,
I mean, and you get to energize the populace over something because it's we're going to be on the front line of the Star Trek technology, and you'll get girls interested in science, since that's something that they love to talk about. Um, it's just such an easy thing to make your platform.
I've always thought that the space exploration thing was a major thing we should focus on, just because of,
Absolutely.
if nothing else, than the spiritual aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
That it does energize the country. And I don't know if you ever watched his channel, but there's a guy that does, like, it's called Because Science. He's kind of a semi-mainstream YouTuber, and he'll do like breaking down.
With a name like that, I would be surprised if he wasn't.
Well, he does a lot of videos where he'll take like some fictional thing, like Star Wars or a comic book movie, and try and analyze how it might or might not actually work, which is kind of interesting stuff. But he did a couple of videos on nuclear power. Like, he's huge into like promoting nuclear power.
Yeah,
and he talks about,
anyone who knows anything about science is.
Yeah, he talks about all this stuff of, like, you got these like Homer Simpson holding the green rod cartoon images in your head, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, and we're not going to see any progress on that until the boomers die off, because
I
all
was
they
hoping
hear.
that when Biden got elected, they would do that. I actually bought a number of stocks, and they're thinking that they would probably, but that was my mistake. But I'll keep holding on. Maybe they'll be worth something one day.
Yeah, well, the thing is that until the boomers die off, we're not going to see any progress, because all that they think of when they think of nuclear power is that and duck and cover. They were brainwashed their entire lives, their entire childhoods, their entire adulthoods, and everything, until they were well into their 50s, that nuclear equals end of the world.
I remember arguing
regardless of what type of technology it is, that word is only associated with doomsday.
I remember arguing with a boomer one time about Iran possibly getting nukes or something, and I'm like, I don't really care if Iran gets nukes. He's like, well, they'd be so reckless with it. And I said to him, I'm like, there's only one country that was crazy enough to fire those things off.
America.
Well, it's different.
Yeah, and after visiting image boards, a few people have said that the two weren't enough. But
well, we had to do it. I mean, it was an island nation. We had to totally blockade it. It's not like we could have just waited.
Yeah, to be fair, it's
Look, we were just swinging our dick around to impress the Russians. Okay, it really had nothing to do with you, Japan.
Yeah, well. People forget just what Japan was like during World War II. That era, they were basically like a North Korea with the way their propaganda was. And they needed, in order to get them to step down, that was the only thing that would possibly get them to break out of the hypnotic haze, is to hit them so hard and so fast with something that the world had never seen before. It was the only way to shock them back to reality. And that was really more so the work, like the intention behind all of that.
There was another plan, and the plan was to just take 1 million Chinese and just drop them off in Japan. And because they hate them so much, it would disgust them into surrendering.
Well,
they'd just be like, ew, they're on our land now.
The plan was to just invade like we did at D-Day. And to this day, we're still using the Purple Hearts that were manufactured at that time, because that's how many deaths and injuries and wounds they predicted.
I don't know.
I mean, if you look at Japanese literature, it had a profound impact on their culture.
Yes.
I mean, it's still felt to this day. It's amazing how much it changed things.
Yeah, well, because it was the entire world shifted in that instant. Yeah, it would have been a better idea to let them take over China. Yes, Azalea, you're right. But anyway,
in all fairness, the more I learn about the Chinese.
Yeah, right. That's why I say that. Japan has its own problems, but largely because they got kind of, shaken to their foundation and had to rebuild their entire image of everything that they were. They have become one of the most robust people in the first world, because they are they're simultaneously connected with their past and yet not ashamed of it, and they are looking to the future without being, blind optimists. Now, their biggest issue now is the social problems, and that's a harder, stagnant population as well, because of a myriad of different factors. They really struggle with just being comfortable being around each other, and that's honestly, they were just a little bit ahead of the curve, because now the whole first world is struggling with that.
I'm still getting.
What if it has anything to do with tentacle porn?
No.
I'm still getting the.
No, see, hold on, Chris. Before you, the reason I can say definitely no is because that has actually existed since like ancient Japan.
No, I was mostly just joking, but yeah, no.
I know, but it's still fun to point out.
I'm still getting the political text. God help me.
Yeah, me too.
You know what the worst part is? Because however many you guys get them out there, I get twice as many because I'm on both fucking mailing lists. Because back in the 2018 primary, there was some fat black chick that was running against Steny Hoyer down in Maryland, and I donated $1 to her campaign because I thought that would have been funny if she would have primaried out Steny Hoyer. That was a terrible mistake. Because now I get the Democrats and Republicans begging me for money in every contentious election. Like, I'm running for state house in Indiana. Please give me money. And then their opponent texts me 5 minutes later. No, give me money. And I'm like, no, I don't have any money.
See, that's the thing. Beckloff. If you give a mouse a cookie, it's gonna ask for milk.
She didn't even beat out Steny Hoyer. That's a sad part.
God, have you ever read that story in its entirety?
Yes.
God, it's long.
Mm-hmm. And tedious and repetitive. It's almost
I read
like
that to my daughter one time. I was like, "Yeah, we ain't gonna be reading this one for a while."
Yeah.
I'm sorry, honey.
It's almost like it's something designed to get in the head of their children and then be remembered for the rest of their lives, and could make a joke about it on a political podcast some 20 years later.
I lost the book. You can't read it anymore.
I've done that before too. There are books that are hidden around the house because I'm like, nope. Especially the books with the little thing, the buttons that you press where they sing to it. You know?
Oh.
Yeah, those.
Oh,
I don't know where they are.
I was gonna get a couple of those for Christmas. Just the loudest ones.
You do. I'm gonna get your number and send them to a bunch of different Libertarian and Green Party places.
Get the Constitution Party coming after you.
The thing is, you know what's funny? The fact that we're still getting those political ads shows that I guess the vote isn't over.
No,
you know,
just immediately we're talking about the next election cycle.
Yep.
Give me money for 2024. It's like, calm down, please.
Honestly, I think in general, the thing that needs to be shaken up, and this is already starting to happen across the West, is the whole idea of democracy in general. Like, we are a representative republic that uses a democratic vote selection system, and that's kind of it. But for like 50 years, it's always, been the line that we're now making fun of, which is, oh, we've got to defend democracy. Democracy is at stake. Oh, like, yeah, you would like democracy. So did Palpatine in Stairwares. But like, I think the whole point that I'm seeing more people realize is that democracy is just oligarchy with a smokescreen.
I like the old joke that, democracy can just be two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's issues, obviously. And the problem is that the average Joe doesn't know enough about them or care enough about them to make decisions on every single one of them. So another example, right? My my dad as well this evening was lamenting that the number 2 issue on exit polls was abortion. He's like, is this really worth, deciding how we're going to run our country? Is an issue like this? This is just like some personal thing. And it's like, yeah, because that's like, what else are people going to think about? You think everyone has the brain capacity to care about, trade policy? Do you how many Americans that are legal to vote do you think can even spell trade policy? Or know how many words are in that phrase? I mean, it's just imagine how dumb the average person is, and then remember that half the people are dumber than that, because that's how math works. The thing is that's not a judgment on their character, right? It just means that, like, maybe giving every single person the same vote isn't a great idea. How about this? There's an easy way to kind of correct course here. Give people that are like net taxpayers count as 2 votes. Let people that are like net taxpayers and homeowners and have a family just get like a system where you get +1, for each thing that actually contributes to the society.
I've said for a long time, if we're up to me, that no government employee would be able to vote while they're employed by the government. And yes, right wingers, that includes the military.
Mm-hmm.
But that's different. And you know what else? Maybe we don't need to have a culture where everyone's encouraged to vote. Like, why is that a thing? Why is everyone told it's your duty to vote? Like, you know what? Okay, maybe it's your duty to, like, educate yourself on the issues and make an informed vote. But it's not your duty to go in there and be like, I like this guy because he has a cowboy hat. Or I like this person because she's black.
Well,
like,
but I mean, if
that.
all of that
maybe
you just
don't do that.
But you see, if you just tell people to go vote and then you're, got a large megaphone of screaming out who to vote for, you got a better chance. There's a much higher chance of them voting for the candidate that you want. So again, no, just vote. And then meanwhile, you've got, well, here's these things that you really need to care about.
Mm-hmm. Almost like it makes the people who run the media corporations the ones who actually rule the nation.
Like, a lot of times preachers complain about some of those tax laws that say, like, they can only talk about issues and not candidates. And I'm sitting here like, I wish we could expand that to the entire fucking media.
Yeah, right.
Jeez, that'd be nice.
See, you say that in chat, Rosa. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, but I am a monarchist. I genuinely think that is a better system. And not because I think certain families are special, but because I think certain people are, like, genuinely better suited to leadership and making decisions, and like giving them that much authority also means giving them that much responsibility. Like, there's the concept of noblesse oblige, which is when you had an official aristocracy. Like, if you were a noble, you were obligated to take care of your society. We've been going throughout human history, like this accordion springing back and forth of everything coming apart at the seams, and then some strong people who know what they're doing get in charge, and everything kind of gets put back together. They go from being military warlords to a nobility, and then they go to, eventually the people are like better fed, better educated, and then they decide, you know what, I think we should be doing this. A couple years ago, to answer the question, but, I've been off the show for a long time, so you guys haven't really been following me from week to week like you used to.
Well, I'm basically off the show anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Especially
You've
after
been hanging out with a senator from Naboo.
All right,
but anyway, we've been kind of going back and forth between our societies dissolving and then sort of new stuff coming out. New nobilities being formed. And I don't think it really necessarily needs to be monarchy or whatever, but like in every other field, we just say that we put the person who's like best suited to that job in that job. Why can't we do that with like political organization stuff?
You don't elect the guy that is retarded and talks like Bizarro Superman.
Yeah, like right, like shouldn't it be like, hey, you need to be a certain type of managerial personality that's good with handling, smoothing over relations between peoples to coordinate things, like, or alternatively, shouldn't you have to be somebody who is an inspiring figure to like rally behind? Like, say what you will about Trump, that's what he was in 2016, because we finally had an avatar for the discontent with the uniparty. I mean, these things are not simple to change overnight.
I say Florida man. We vote Florida man.
I vote Florida man,
but I want him to go.
It is worth asking, though. Do you think that his popularity extends outside of Florida? Because there are a number of people who pointed out, though, that a number of DeSantis endorsed candidates didn't pick up any seats either. So people have been asking the question, though. Well, I mean, again, does his popularity go outside of Florida?
You know what? That's here's the thing that's really helped me get over this kind of thing is that's not for me to worry about. Like, I know what I think would be a good idea, and if I'm presented with a choice, then I'll make that decision. But I think part of the problem is that one of the bread and circus things is making everybody talk about this stuff and come up with their own solutions. Like, I think we're in a rivulet or a corner of the maze just the same as everyone else who's, quote unquote, blind to the system, man, even though we feel like we're the dissonance. Because, being the dissonant is a part of the pattern of the system, which is really hard to get your head around.
I don't think Trump is that popular outside of a core base at this point.
Yeah, he's really soured in my estimation. And yes, I do think a lot of America.org, Azalea. I am very big fan of that site.
I don't think, getting a high vote of the amount of people that use Gab is going to get you in the White House.
Yeah. The thing is that I think we waste a lot of brain power coming up with our perfect solutions to these things when there are no perfect solutions. There are just solutions that make things better and things that just make the problems worse. And we just need to, as a society somehow, and I don't have the answer here, we as a society need to learn how to recognize the good and work towards it. And I mean the good in the sense that the ancient Greeks talked about it with arete, or which is, as we would use in our modern parlance, literally based. Like, that has an actual Greek term, which is just the pursuit of the good and being in accord with reality. It's all tied up in that word. That's if we could all orient ourselves towards the good and work towards that, be that through Christianity, which is, as far as I can tell, the only faith that's actually true. But even if it doesn't need to be something so high up in your estimation of things, even if it's enough to just value goodness over badness. See, this is the issue we're dealing with right now. We live in a current zeitgeist where, because equality has become elevated to the god of our Western world, we have to invert reality. We have to treat the good as if it were bad, and we have to treat the bad as if it were good, to bring them
for the sake of the God.
For the sake of the God, and to bring them to that middle level. We can't say, hey, maybe people who commit crimes are bad and should be treated as bad people until they've been punished. And maybe people who create things and make stuff and, provide for the community are good and should be rewarded.
Well, our men and women are different, and so even though they can in some circumstances be treated equally, in other instances do not need to be treated the same.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, again, we're people are not at least from what I'm seeing, they're not willing to do that because they know that if they start accepting the truth in one area, the dominoes begin to fall, and eventually that's going to affect something that they like. There are other idols that they have that they're not willing to get rid of, and so they keep hoisting them up, and they keep denying reality for the sake of those other idols.
Yeah. And see, this is where I get kind of muddy on things, because I have 1 foot in anarchist and 1 foot in monarchist, which is you wouldn't think would make any sense until you've been on the right politically for long enough, and then it's like, yeah, I can see that. But like, I genuinely think that one of the only ways to have true personal freedom in a society is to have a stronger, like, core set of leaders and ideals that are more local. Like, I think what's that?
No, go ahead. Finish your thought, then I'll say something.
No, I've already forgotten it. What was up?
I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
okay. You need to check out the book, The One and the Many by Rusas Rushdoony.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. How do you spell that?
So the title is The One and the Many, but his name.
Well, no, I could spell that.
So it's Rusas, which is Rousas.
Sorry,
I had to teach the youth tonight. Okay, so
ROS.
ROUSAS.
ROUSAS.
And then his last name is Rushdoony, which is RUSHDOONY.
Oh, that's way easier than I expected to spell. Okay,
but he's actually
I thought that was going to be an Indian name.
The book is dealing about the dialectic between anarchism and totalitarianism, which is not what you said, but it's what sparked sparked in that he is dealing. Yeah. The whole book is about dealing with that dialectic and the tension that is being created in our culture because of the different approaches and going through and experiencing that.
Mm-hmm. I should say, I think that what I'm in favor of is not authoritarianism, but authoritative government.
Neither is he, and his answer is, you might like it, but I don't want to spoil it. But he's not either. But he's just pointing out that is where our culture is, and that's where the tension lies, is between anarchism and totalitarianism or authoritarianism.
Mm-hmm. And what's so funny is, like, we live in this time where we're all equal, everything's equal, everything has to be equal. You can be taken to court and tried for violating laws about keeping things equal, and how, like, for paying a man more than a woman or whatever, or, a woman more than a man, but that never goes to court. But the thing that, what was I getting at? Oh yeah. So you can be taken to court for violating the law of, like, keeping these two people equal. And then you can be charged more, like, with contempt of court, because you didn't give the proper honor and respect to the judge, who is equal but better than you, I guess. Like, we're so covered in contradictions like this, and that's obviously a very simple one, but it's not. And it's I think contempt of court is a good thing to have to discourage proceedings from being bogged down in shouting matches. But by that same token, it's like, do you see the contradiction here? It's like, we were never supposed to be about this.
Well, the only equality this country was ever meant to have was a basic equality under the law sort of thing, where you stand, a rich man and a poor man stands equal before the magistrate, was the idea. And that's a noble thing for a society to have. But deciding, no, we're all equal all the time, well, that's the Borg. If you can make it happen, that's horrifying. That's horrifying.
And it kind of points out how we lost the battle of language back then, right? Rather than focusing on equality, the real issue that should have been harped on was, no, it's not about equality, it's about impartiality.
Yes. But that's not as catchy.
No.
You know what? If English had a word that was easier to remember than impartiality, we would have gone down that road. I think I don't know how much I agree with the whole your language determines the way you think thing, but I think there is truth to that, if not completely accurate. But, like, the whole idea of, like, the Germans have a crazy specific word for everything, like, Schadenfreude, or oh crap, there's another really good one that comes up a lot in vaporwave circles. Zeitgeist, that's another good one. In vaporwave circles, people talk a lot about one that's like homesickness for a place you've never been. There is a German word for it, but I forget it now.
I do
that
like
kind of
David
thing.
Lynch's Thing in the Air.
What now?
Well, David Lynch, instead of saying zeitgeist, he calls it the thing in the air. I do like how he says that, the thing in the air.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun, but it's still not a word.
It's
you know.
true.
And what's I really hate David Lynch's movies, but I'm trying to be more open to that kind of thing, because like I've genuinely wanted to be an artist my whole life of some stripe or another, and yet I've never allowed myself to pursue any of that, which has led to a lot of my hang-ups and issues and stuff that has kept me tied down. But yeah, no, David Lynch is still a hack to me, and I'm trying to get over like jumping to conclusions and stuff. But listen, I watched Eraserhead and I wanted to throw up for like 6 weeks.
What about Twin Peaks?
I've not seen that, and I hear nothing but good things about Twin Peaks. So that might be something I should check out.
Twin Peaks.
That's the main thing. I haven't seen a lot. I've seen that and what is it? Mulberry Lane.
Twin Peaks is
Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to watch that. When I was briefly in some film classes in college, I had to watch Mulholland Drive as well, and I left during the screening.
Twin Peaks
because I was just so bored.
That has influenced so many other things throughout the years that now it feels kind of stale. Like there's a lot of things that suffer from that, where it was so influential that after a certain amount of time, there can't help but be things that have done it better. And yep. I always kind of thought, because I watched Twin Peaks for the first time in like the 2000s, and I thought like, I've seen this a million other places. But then I realized I've seen this a million other places because Twin Peaks broke that ground.
Yeah, it's like when people go back to crap. I had a great like video game analogy that was like the same thing for the games industry. I guess Mario 64 is a good one, but that's still better than most 3D platformers that came after it. So
you could go to the first Super Mario Brothers game,
Yeah, that's even better.
1985. This was amazing, but you're hard to find a single thing in it that some Mario sequel doesn't do better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, and this is the thing. I would much rather be talking about this kind of thing as opposed to the politicking of the world. Because in an ideal society, that stuff is just the minimum level of intrusive to the lives of its citizens that it has to be.
Like Tom brought up a book. You know what book I'm reading right now? I'm literally reading a autobiography of a porn star, because I've been on a kick of just reading autobiographies lately. Like
Man of culture, I see.
Yeah, like I read through like Norm Macdonald's, which is great. Mariah Carey's. I read through a biography of Billy Joel recently. Like I've just been kind of on that kick for some reason, because it's like, weird and interesting people that led weird and interesting lives. It's kind of it interests me to get their perspective. So
yeah, and I
and yeah, to me I've paid a lot more attention to that than politics in the last few months.
Yeah. And I guess the thing that I've kind of come to this point in my life where I'm just like, yeah, let the country burn. What do I care? Like, what am I responsible for holding back this tide of the entire world by myself? Well, that's internally I felt like yes.
Here's
for
what I'm going to
most
say.
of my life.
I'm gonna wrap things up because we've been going on for 2 hours and I got to do some other stuff tonight.
Well, I just got here, so you're going to have to stay. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll just leave. We'll all leave and Undertow can do the show now. But no, the talk of like monarchy and republic and democracy, to some extent, I consider that kind of academic, because at the end of the day, people are going to get the government they deserve. And
you know what? I don't know if I agree with that anymore.
I think a lot of what we got to do, it's a cliche for a reason. Be the change you want to see. Like if you're really concerned about the state of the world, to some extent, I don't know, pick up, go to the fucking gym.
Yeah.
Better yourself. At the end of the day, that's the thing you have the most influence over. And I mean, I'm saying that to myself as much as anybody. I'm a fat guy. I should go to the gym. Like, no argument there. There's a lot of things I should do. But, maybe before I get interested in arguing over whether or not I should vote for a slimy snake oil salesman or a literal retard, maybe there's things in my life I should be worried about first. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because I got some other stuff I got to do tonight. I'll probably stream a little bit more in the next few days because I have some days off. And, I like monies, and sometimes y'all give me money. So that's about it for tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for listening.